Okay, I know what you're thinking. A training schedule sounds pretty dry, right? But stick with me, because hidden in these pages is basically a blueprint for a revolution in one of the world's oldest professions, accounting. Let's decode what's going on here.
All right, take a good look at this. You'd probably swear it's the agenda for some big tech conference in Silicon Valley, wouldn't you? Well, it's not. This is a 3-day training schedule for chartered accountants. And what this reveals is nothing short of a massive change in the works.
So here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we'll look at the big picture shift. Then we'll decode the new language of AI that they're now expected to speak. We'll check out their brand new digital toolkit, see how it's actually changing their day-to-day job. And finally, we'll get to the most important question. What's left for the human to do?
So what's the big deal with a training schedule? Well, this isn't just about learning some new software. This is about a complete rewiring of what it even means to be a financial professional. The ground is literally shifting under their feet. And this document, it's the map to this whole new landscape. Here's the bottom line, the main takeaway. AI is no longer a niche topic for the IT department down the hall. It has officially moved from the nice-to-have list straight to the must-have list. For the next generation of accountants, understanding AI is going to be just as fundamental as knowing how to use a spreadsheet. To really get our heads around this new world, you first have to speak the language, right? This training schedule shows us that professionals are now expected to understand the mechanics behind the magic, starting with the very basic building blocks.
First term on the list is large language model, or LLM. Just think of this as the brain of the operation. It's the core engine, like what's powering ChatGPT, that's been trained on just an insane amount of data to understand context, generate text, and even do some complex analysis. It's the foundation for almost everything else we're about to see. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. They're not just learning the basics. They're learning how the AI thinks. A tokenizer sounds super technical, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's how the AI breaks our language down into tiny pieces, or tokens, to understand it. Kind of like turning a sentence into a pile of Lego bricks. So why does an accountant need to know this? Because it helps them write better prompts and get much more accurate results. And it's not a one-size-fits-all deal either. The schedule specifically calls out different types of LLMs, like Grok, Claude, and Gemini. Why? Because they're built for different jobs. You might use one for drafting the narrative of an annual report, but you'd use another, like Gemini, to connect directly to live financial data for real-time analysis. The modern accountant needs to be a discerning user, picking the right tool for the job. Okay, let's move on. Once you understand the language, you can start using the tools. And let me tell you, the new accounting toolkit is expanding at a breathtaking pace. This slide really just paints the picture, doesn't it? Look at the range of tools here. On one hand, you have Perplexity, which is like a research engine on steroids for deep market analysis. On the other, you've got tools like BotPress that let accountants build their own simple AI bots for client questions. They're even learning to use code generators like Llama Coder to automate tedious spreadsheet tasks. And no programming degrees required. It's all about working smarter, not harder. And the toolbox just keeps on growing. There are AI companions to summarize client meetings, tools to synthesize really dense documents, you name it. But the most telling detail here is the ICAI agent. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of India isn't just teaching its members to use AI tools, it's training them to build their own. Now that's a massive leap. So, we understand the concepts and we've seen the tools, but where does the rubber meet the road? This next section shows how AI is being directly integrated into the bread and butter work of finance and auditing. You can actually piece together a whole new audit workflow just from looking at this schedule. Imagine an AI analyzing a company's entire transaction history in minutes. It could automatically flag weird anomalies in tax returns for a closer look. Then, using connectors, it could pull data from a client's calendar to verify expenses. And finally, it could even help draft sections of complex official audit documents. The whole process just gets supercharged. And this isn't just theory either. Look how specific these applications are. They're training custom AIs to handle specific tax notices. They're pointing AI directly at financial statements and purchase registers, the core of the job. It's about applying this new power to the most granular, essential tasks they perform every single day. This brings us to the final, and you could argue the most important part of this story. With all this automation and power, what is left for the human to do? The answer, it turns out, is everything that matters most. Look at this line item from day 3.
Moral machines, just two words that signal a profound shift in responsibility. The conversation is no longer just about accuracy and efficiency, but about ethics, fairness, and judgment.
With great power comes new vulnerabilities. The training covers advanced security topics like prompt injection, which is basically how to defend these AI systems from being tricked or manipulated. It covers the constantly changing legal landscape of AI regulations, and critically, it emphasizes data anonymization, how to protect client confidentiality when you're using these powerful models.
So what does this all mean? The accountant of the future isn't being replaced by AI, their role is being elevated. It's shifting from number cruncher to system architect. They become the person who designs the process, validates the AI's output, and provides the strategic and ethical judgment that a machine simply can't.
And this leaves us with a pretty big question. As AI automates all the routine tasks with incredible speed, what skills will truly define a human professional's value? Is it strategy? Is it ethics? The ability to build client relationships? This training schedule doesn't just provide answers about accounting. It forces all of us to ask some really fundamental questions about the future of professional work.